Hi, this is Mary Esther Gilbert, nutritional physiologist, nutritional healing specialist of the True Health Mastery Institute of Holistic Personal Health Management. So, what we are going to be talking about tonight is the anti-cancer science that's behind being able to have cancer cells in the body be destroyed, improving the immune system, and helping it battle these different cancers. I have researched the scientific literature and come up with peer-reviewed studies for over 45 years to help people, to show people the true amount of scientific research that's done around the world on this and other ailments, on other subjects. And it ties in how the nutrient compounds in plants work with the body to help the immune system recognize cancer cells and eliminate them or destroy them or have them deactivate themselves. Now, the presentation I have tonight is based on the nutritional healing protocol that I'm developing, which will be available to the public. So I'm going to take you through the rough draft, so to speak, of this protocol. So over the years, I put together different protocols for different types of cancers. So in this particular protocol that's going to be available both to private members and to the public, we'll be covering all aspects of why cancer starts, the underlying causes, and the different botanicals that have been proven to deactivate cancer. So this is going on YouTube, so I have to be careful with the terms that I use because they have a way of censoring. So they don't like certain terms to be used. But as a private member, if you join the True Health Mastery Institute, then we have the conversations that are not going to be censored because they're behind the closed doors of the privacy of our members in the institution. So that's one advantage of joining as a member. But tonight, I will go ahead and present for the public benefit all the reasons why, all the causes of cancer and how to alleviate this particular cancer. Now, I'm hoping that I won't be censored from using that word too much, but from now on, I'll just say it's the C word, okay? Well, maybe not. That's that's negative connotations, isn't it, ladies? So I'll use something else. I'll say can. Can. How's that? As our code word. Okay. All right, I'll do that. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. So this is the invitation, and they all look pretty similar. Every week I'll be sending out invitations for the topic and how to access the call and all of that, and the time. You have to be really careful with the time changes that are going on all the time. Mountain Standard Time never changes. So it's 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and right now we're on par with Pacific Standard Time because they sprung forward, right? Usually they're an hour earlier than us, but during this time of year, we're on the same time. So rather than confusing people with Mountain Standard Time, which is always the case, then I just put Pacific and Eastern, and people can figure it out much more easily than if I put all of that in there. Alrighty, so I just wanted to show you the invitation here. Okay, now I have a lot of tabs open here. I just want to make sure I do them in the right order. Okay, so this is going to be the Cancer Nutritional Healing Protocol. It says copyright 2020 because that's when I decided to create one to offer the public. But things happened, and so I'm going to update that to 2025 so it's more current. So I took a lot of my old documents and I put them into this one. And it's kind of a mishmash thing right now. I'm still, setting it up. But I wanted to show you the scientific research that's listed from this document. And also, since it's going to be for the general public and it's not specific for the APL Go company, I'll be taking out the names of the products, but the botanicals are going to be the same. Now, I did produce a book that is almost identical to the APL Go product reference guide, but I added 60 more botanicals to the other one so that the public can get more of the benefit of all these healing botanicals that are available on planet Earth, right? So you'll see what I mean as we progress through here. So yeah, there's going to be everything that I've posted so far into the document, all these essential oils and just the different botanicals that I've used over the years. So that'll be part of the protocol. But what I wanted to show you was the scientific research here. Okay, so I always back everything up by peer-reviewed studies, scientific references. So you'll always see a reference section in everything that I do, so that if someone has a question or if they're questioning, anything that I'm asserting in any document or book, they can verify that it is indeed, proven through science. So let me go ahead, and I already clicked on these, and so they're ready to go. I wanted to show everyone. Okay, so we deal with nutrient compounds that are in botanicals, right? And this is where the bulk of the healing takes place, because the human body recognizes the genetic codes of information in plants, and our bodies are able to utilize that very same information to do any repair work at the DNA level. So just to show you, there's a lot of different scientific journals out there that talk about how these botanicals, on Earth have been shown to alleviate all manner of ailments, A through Z. But tonight we're focusing on the can-can. So if, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the phytomedicine, right? And so we'll just scan this until I can pick out what I wanted to do. Okay, so now phytomedicine refers to the application of research and the high standards of professionalism to the herbal medicine practice. And this is what's happening now is we're transitioning toward letting the public know that the botanical medicines are to be taken seriously. They're not old wives' tales. They're not considered that anymore. And there's plenty of scientific, research and evidence showing the before and after of the test subjects, and how, and even in vitro, not just in vivo, but in vitro, the laboratory experiments of watching how cells can be replicated, how they grow, and what types of phytochemical compounds can arrest the cell growth. And so they've tried them on all these different cancer cell lines, throughout the scientific literature. So this is something very exciting, and we need to start taking it seriously. So if you run into someone who doesn't know the healing qualities of botanical medicines, then you can always show them the science, or you can invite them to one of the meetings here. It's always an eye-opener when I sit down with someone or I address an audience and just enlighten them with this kind of information. Okay, so they talk about how doctors and scientists and pharmacists, they're becoming more and more commonly known. I'm sure there are a lot of pharmacists and medical doctors out there that still haven't gotten the memo, but the information is starting to infiltrate, and we need this very much right now. So as you can see, they mention a couple of the botanicals that have been tested extensively. So turmeric is one of the spices that it's a root actually, and it's been studied so extensively. There's literally, I think, maybe several hundred, maybe 1,000 or more, of studies done on turmeric. Same with garlic, and they talk a little bit about ginger. So these are the main ones that this report is focusing on. So, they're just coming right out nowadays saying fighting cancer is something our body's doing all the time. And just when one is diagnosed with a disease, cancer is triggered by toxins in the environment, in our food, inflammatory conditions that our bodies produce, stress chemicals, or reactions to foreign substances that don't belong in the body, free radicals, anything that doesn't belong in the body that at the atomic level is stealing the electrons from our perfectly healthy orbitals at the atomic level on all of our molecules that form the cells that form the tissues and organs and structures in the body. So everything is happening at such a micro level, we don't really see what's going on. All we see are the results and the symptoms, right? So, all right, and here's some more: black pepper, rosemary, dill, flaxseed, wheatgrass, oregano. See, all of these things over the years I have compiled and created the scientific monographs that are in my books, and also in the nutritional healing protocols that I've developed over the years for different clients. So all of these botanicals and all of the science behind them are going to be in the individual nutritional healing protocols that I'm working on currently. So far, I've only got 2 I mean, all of this has been in my computer database for years, right? And so all I need to do is just pull from all the different files and create an individual protocol. So instead of doing the one-on-one client, consultations, then I can just share that same information with a vast number of people. Alrighty, so that's my goal right now, and let's get on with the other scientific data on cancer. So I just pulled a few more, and these are all referenced in the protocol that you just saw. And we have to consider everything that that causes cancer. And heavy metals have already been shown to destroy the nervous system and to infiltrate the blood-brain barrier, affecting the cells of the brain, degenerate the nervous system, affect the hormonal system. So that means disruption of the ability to have children. And also, there's a lot of research done to show that there has been a lot of I'm trying to think fast here. I only had 3 hours sleep last night, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm not as quick today as I usually am. But yeah, birth defects is what I was trying to pull out of this tired brain tonight. But so yeah, so we have to watch out that we're not exposed, whether it's skin exposure or through the lungs or in the foods that we eat that are not organically grown, because the non-organic foods are sprayed extensively with these synthetic pesticides, and they're pretty much acting in very similar ways that the heavy metals do, like mercury and cadmium and aluminum, and those are also in the environment as well. So drinking tap water is not a good idea right now until we clean up our waters on this planet, because they contain a lot of the runoffs. They even have drug residues in those runoffs. So this is the kind of information that I'm trying to consolidate all into one. And so this is going to be part of the cancer healing protocol. So all of this will be accessible to anyone who has this protocol. Alrighty, so let's see if I can pull something for us to see. Heavy metals in the environment. Okay. They become hazardous when they accumulate in organisms. So this affects organisms at the cellular level, in the soil conditions, and it also affects the larger organisms, the animals in the environment. If they're going to have a toxic environment, then the animals are going to suffer the reproductive, abilities, and they're going to be diseased as well. And so this can spread far and wide, and it has. So when we humans, we go out into the wild, or we go to the grocery store and eat foods that have not been protected through the organic laws that are very, very specific and very, very strict. I'm sure that there's a few rogue, farmers out there who don't follow the strict USDA guidelines. So, we never know what we're going to get. So we have to keep an eye as consumers on what the farmers are doing. But anyhow, that's an aside. So, it says heavy metals that contaminate the environment include mercury, cadmium, arsenic, chromium, nickel, copper, and lead. Some of those, in the most minute amounts, are actually in the human body naturally and are actually used for the functioning of our bodies. But like it says, if you have something that's been accumulated to a toxic level, then they're going to have devastating effects on the health. So, I don't know if the members that are present here tonight already knew this, but so many people out there in the public just don't know. There are so many different ailments that are tied directly to this. So what I normally do is, and this protocol will instruct the reader to start with a detoxification. And of course, we don't want to advocate anything that is severe, because when the body undergoes a very severe detoxification, then all of those chemicals that are suddenly released into the bloodstream again, because they are stored in the fatty tissues of the body, including the brain. So once something is starting to detoxify, severely like that, then a person can get very, very sick. I think it's very dangerous to activate all of those stored chemicals and have them run rampant throughout your circulatory system. So the nutritional healing protocol that's part of this protocol will include detoxifying foods. And again, all evidence-based. So there, no one can ever question, whether this protocol is correct or not. When the science changes, then that's when we will change our perspective as well, because the scientific world is always learning new things and always updating, the knowledge base of the world, really. But these are pretty well set. There's so many different studies over the decades have been done on these different, potentially very toxic metals. So chromium is extremely important for health, but we need it in the right molecular configuration, atomic configuration in a plant. So chromium helps regulate blood sugar, but if we have that specific element that's been accumulated in something like in nature or in our foods, then this is going to have very hazardous consequences, right? So yeah, even manganese, that's an essential nutrient. But it becomes a heavy metal, a toxic heavy metal when there's concentrations of it. And it's usually because of pollutants, the industries that use these kinds of individual nutrients to the point where they're so saturated that they become a problem. So lead, of course, people know that. Mercury, it's extremely dangerous. And, we don't really have a lot of lead and mercury, even at the most minute level in the body. So we need to make sure that we are not exposed to that. Cadmium, that's a very important nutrient also, but not at the toxic levels. So these are mostly, if you take in a whole food plant that has been grown organically and the soils have been enriched with different elements, different minerals, then the plant will take up just the right amount that it needs for its own metabolism. And therefore, when we eat that plant, we won't have to worry about being overdosing on all of these heavy metals. So they're nutrients to a point, and then in concentrations, then they're becoming, toxic. All right, so, other essential minerals like copper and zinc, we definitely need those in our bodies. So, I mean, they're micronutrients, so we don't need them in the milligrams. We need them in the microgram level. And if we eat the right types of plant foods, then we'll be sure to get that kind of thing. Of course, if they're grown in nutrient-rich environments, that includes replenishing the soils and adding more material and more biomass to the soil so that the soil becomes a living ecosystem in itself that becomes more and more rich in these essential minerals. Okay, so you get the idea of what this article is about. And I really hope that people who purchase the Cancer Healing Protocol, they will dive into these. And a lot of times they feel at first they're going to feel very technical, but the more a person reads these, the more they become familiar with the terminology, and it becomes more and more interesting and more informative for people. So let's go to the next one here. The environmental side effects of medication, and that's another thing that gets into our water systems. So, so human and veterinary medicines in soils and water bodies affecting human and environmental health, definitely. Excuse me, I'm going to get some water here. So, of course, medicines are important for, treatment of diseases when situations are dire. They can bring the body back into balance, but are they nutrients? Do they really solve the problem in the long term? They do not. So this is what we need to instill in people. And the more a person educates themselves as to all the different causes of why humans are so sick on this planet, especially in the United States. If you were at the convention last Friday or Saturday, where I laid out all of the statistics that are really scary, where 12% of the population is generally healthy, not optimally healthy, the way, people have the potential of being. But, and then there's so many high percentages of the population that, especially as they progress in age, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, the percentages of the different serious conditions that are prevalent in the country, especially, then it gets worse and worse as a person ages. But not if you're highly nourished. That's something that I've been saying a lot lately, if a person is highly nourished, then you can prevent a lot of that degeneration that happens. So you don't want to be in the downward spiral of degenerative health. You want to enjoy your life, especially as you reach your advanced years. Why would you want to be, debilitated and not being able to be mobile and enjoy life mentally, physically, spiritually, even, because that affects one's spirituality. But anyhow, so yeah, this one talks about the environmental effects of how medications get into our system, our biological, ecological system is what I meant to say. So yeah, this will take you through, just what happens in agriculture. You know, Here's one that says large amounts of veterinary medicines like antibacterials, antifungals, and parasiticides. Paras, how do you say that? Parasiticides. I think that's how you say that. From aquaculture and agriculture may contribute to the stress on the environment, particularly as they often find their way directly into soils and surface waters, unlike human medicines, which usually go through a water treatment plant first. But the size of the molecules of drugs, sometimes they have to be at the micron level so that they can access the cell membranes and enter, affect the cell receptor sites and enter the inner environment of our cells. So drugs are normally at that, small size. It's not like taking a supplement where it's at the huge milligram level or even the microgram level. But so we have to be careful that we're not exposed, abundantly from these kinds of things that end up in our water. Okay, so I'm just going to enlarge this really quickly so we can just take a glimpse of all the things that happen once a drug gets into livestock, it gets into the water and the soil. Then we've got a problem because we don't know if plants take up this kind of material into their own systems. So that needs to be explored more. Okay, so I'm going to go to this right here. Pharmaceuticals detected in surface water monitoring studies. So they have discovered all these different kinds of antibiotics in water, in our water sources, antacids, analgesics, anti-anginal, antihypertensive, antidepressant, anti-hyperlipidemic. So it affects how the body utilizes our essential fats, anti-diabetic, antipyretic. So all these drugs and prescriptions that supposedly help bring down the pain or fever. In this case, antipyretic means fever. So yeah, we've got all these types of drugs that are just in our waters. So that's why one of the reasons why I don't have people drink tap water, because you never know what's in the particular area that you live in and what the water tables are like. Beta blockers, bronchodilators, contraceptive. They might be in minute levels that don't affect a person, but if a person drinks a lot of water at the advice of a health advisor and they don't drink the purified water, then they might run into some problems. So I just wanted to show you what they've discovered that's in our water. Okay, I'm going to show you one more. And of course, you saw the list of references in the protocol. There's going to be a lot more for people to explore. But of course, I just use them as references, so I pretty much summarize what all of these research studies say. So essential oils are very, very absorbable into the body, and they are just like the plant fluids of the plants, and they contain all of the phytochemical compounds that are so beneficial to our health. The only other thing that I know of that will be absorbed that readily and go right into the bloodstream is the APL-GO drops. And essential oils work pretty much the same way, but normally it's not advised that you take them in orally. So you just rub them on maybe a thicker area of your body, like the bottom of your feet or the pads of your hands. Because if these concentrated oils get on other sensitive areas in the body, on the skin, then they might feel like a burning sensation, and sometimes even form a little redness, so that's not something that people would be open to using once they experience something like that. So it's always best just to use a few drops of the essential oils and rub them on the bottom of your feet, and they end up on your palms of your hands, so you can use it as aromatherapy also. Just inhale, and let them go through the lungs. And there's so many different health benefits to essential oils if you're not familiar with them. But I go into that too in the protocol. So they're basically antimicrobial, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, because they're taking the strongest, most potent part of the plant and they're concentrated, you know. So yeah, they've been tested and tested all sorts of plant essential oils through the ages, and tested scientifically in modern times. So they're very strongly entrenched in their ability to act as anti-cancer agents. And these are experiments that have been done both in the laboratory and in live subjects, both in animals and in humans. So then, they go into the science, and like I always point out, when you look at these footnotes, out pops the reference sources where this peer-reviewed document has acquired the legitimate studies that they've gathered into one report. So you can see the groups of scientists that have come to the same conclusions, right? And it's all about duplication in the scientific world. If a group of scientists or many groups of scientists come up with the same outcome, then that's a pretty strong indication that the botanical works as it has, been shown. So anyhow, yeah, so they really go into some really great things. And to familiarize yourselves with the phytochemicals that are in plants, it's great to start being just recognizing what they are. And these are classifications that have many, many subclassifications. So there's literally 25,000 that have been discovered so far as of a few years ago, I think maybe 5 years ago. So science is constantly coming up with new discoveries on different types of the subclassifications of these major ones. And so they have very specific actions at the cell level in the body. So yeah, in my book, I have two books. One is the APL Go Nutritional Health Guide, which has only the ingredients that are in the APL Go products. I also have another book that I mentioned earlier that has 60 more botanicals in it. It has the same information as the APL Go book, but it also has 60 more, and that's more for the benefit of the general public. And so there will be a volume 2 and volume 3 someday. It's in queue right now. I'm still working on other projects. But anyhow, yeah, just to get familiar with what these do, in my book, there's the database that explains what each of these do in the body. All right, so anti-cancer agents. Studied for, okay, these have been studied for anti-cancer potential in vitro models in the laboratories. So they have all these cancer cell lines that are, being grown in laboratories, and they're being tested against all of these different phytonutrient compounds. And I forgot to plug in my computer. 1 second here. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show everyone about the cancer protocol that I'm developing for people. I'll show you a little bit more of the book. Okay, so I'll go into the Potent Superfoods book, which has the extra botanicals in it, everything that the APL Go book has, and then some. So from this book, I've used it as my own reference source in developing, educational protocols or educational documents for the APL Go group and other groups that I used to do for other companies. So it's a really great reference source that you'll go to over and over and over again. And I'm so glad that I spent all those months researching this book, because now I use it as my own reference source. If I want to look up if something has, for instance, let me go ahead and do a find on cancer, and you'll see how many. Okay, there it goes. 645 matches in this book. So right now it's just like the introductory areas of the book. But okay, so I go through the 109 botanicals in this book, and we can just pick out everything that whenever it mentions cancer, and of course it's always scientifically referenced. So Boyer would be the scientific group that have discovered these different things about the apple. I mean, there's 109 botanicals in this book, but as if you do a quick search, you'll see that all these different foods that you see in the supermarket are anti-cancer. So we've got the artichoke here. I mean, it's in alphabetical order, so you can imagine, how many botanicals that are in here. In fact, if I scroll down at the left here, it'll tell me cauliflower, chamomile, cherry. So it's just all in alphabetical order. But yeah, these are concise, and summarizations of what the scientists have found. But of course, I always list all the references for all these different botanicals. So in the Cancer Healing Botanical, it will list these botanicals in it. And so, it depends on how much time I want to spend on each protocol. I think I'll stop short of producing recipes because, that's something or I will mention that people need to be careful when they cook these foods. Anything over 130 degrees destroys the enzymes and the light energy frequencies that make these foods so viable. So you want to eat as many raw foods as possible. And if you have trouble with all of the fiber, then juice them. You've got all of the enzymes that are activating all the biochemical processes in the body, all the cellular processes, including the immune system that will assist in destroying the cancer cells. A lot of times, if a person is not nourished properly, they will have problems with their immune system. So the immune system has their own DNA also that needs to be corrected when it's impaired or disrupted or damaged. So these kinds of plant chemicals will definitely be read by our own DNA and extract whatever gene sequences it needs to repair itself to return it to optimal and normal functioning. So a lot of these botanicals are found to be they destroy cancer cells directly, or they get into the DNA of the cell of the cancer cell and cause it to be confused and start destroying itself. So that's called cancer cell self destruction or apoptosis. Okay, so that's what I have for you so far on the cancer protocol, but it will be the whole cancer protocol. I will try to get that done by the end of next week so that we can share this protocol and the members can purchase it, and it'll be available to the public as well for substantially higher price. But I want the members to have exclusivity. People who join this institute, I have found they have this passion that I have, the passion to help people get well and to go over and above and step away from the propaganda out there and the brainwashing out there so that they can be more effective in helping people get well. And you all have that in you. I saw that tonight. Any questions? Any comments? We're still being recorded.
Well, that protocol is fantastic. That's pretty amazing. And I'm ready to buy it when it's ready. I think that would be very helpful in what I do to help people.
And it's preventive too,
Right, right.
Don't wait until you get cancer.
But exactly.
I've had clients that were 3 days away from death, and that's that handful of clients, they reached me too late. But the ones that were even at stage 4 cancers, they were able to reverse their cancers. To make that claim is a pretty dangerous claim, I realize, but it was all science. The science matched the results. Yvette, you're muted.
I have a question, but I'll wait till the recording is off because
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and say goodnight to the viewers. Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. And I hope that you got a lot of benefit from here. And by the time this video is published on YouTube, you will be able to click on the links below in the description box, and you'll be able to see the website and the how to join the Institute if you want to. For $12.97 a month, you're going to get information like this every single week and then some. You'll have access to all the books and the articles and all of that. So, and there will be, as a member, you'll be part of the private discussion that will be commencing shortly after we say goodnight to the public. So with that, I will say goodnight. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's help get this healing information out to as many people out there in the world. They are searching desperately for this information. And I've already proven to myself, which matches the science, that these protocols are working. Alrighty, so thank you again, and I will see you next time.